Good morning, everybody. Welcome to
Good
another
morning.
Wellness Weekend. My name is Kathy Rañeses. I am Central Holistico's in-house life coach, and with me today is the lovely Dr. Fran Bernardino. Hi, Doc Fran.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
How
Hope
are
you're
you
having a good
doing?
Sunday.
Yeah, it's such a lovely Sunday. It's not too
Mm,
hot out. Alam mo yun, the weather is just it's perfect.
yeah,
Sarap
yeah,
lumabas.
yeah.
Get sunshine. I heard that you've been out doing a little bit of celebrating, getting a little bit of sun.
Yeah. Our daughter just turned 1 last Friday. So, yeah, we had a short out of town trip.
Mhm.
How was your weekend? How's your
I've been
weekend been?
sleeping for most of my weekend. Yeah, I've naghabol ako ng aso sa ulan.
Oh,
And it kind of got to me. So I've been
yeah.
resting all
Yeah.
weekend. Um,
Okay.
along with the dog, mukhang napagod din siya.
Mm. But,
So yeah, that's kind of been it. Just a very quiet weekend for me.
okay. But
Um,
the dog's all good.
the dog is all
All
good. The dog is
good.
better
Yeah.
than me.
Yeah.
The dog is more resilient than me.
Yeah.
So she's fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So Doc, we have such an interesting topic for
Yeah.
us this Sunday. I'm so excited to be able
I'm
to talk
excited
about.
to talk about it too. Yeah.
Guess it's anyway. It. So we're talking about stress, which is such
Mhm.
a common thing that like we
Such a
all
big umbrella.
exactly, and we all go through
Yeah.
different levels of
Mhm.
stress. So it's
Mhm.
something that's very talaga common for all of us. Um, and I'm gonna assume that we see a lot of stressful patients at the clinic. So, Doc, do you mind just talking a little bit about what stress is and what are the most parang common the common stressful things that our patients kind of come in for at the
Yeah.
clinic?
Yeah. Okay. So today we'll talk about, well, during the pandemic, diba?
Mm,
It's more heightened now. So, but now we'll focus more on emotional stress. Because
mm,
actually, when we talk about stress, we're really not talking about like you come into the clinic, you talk about, I'm so stressed, doc, ganyan, ganyan. We're really not talking about
yeah.
physical stress naman, diba? So most of the time, it's really emotional, it's really mental. So that's going to be the focus of our talk now, and how acupuncture actually helps. It helps a lot with stress. Kasi more commonly, people know acupuncture as like a physical, like, you do it for back pain, you do it for headaches, you do it for other physical stuff, physical ailments. But
Mm-mm.
what a lot of people don't know, actually, also the physical manifestations most of the time have emotional roots. Would you
Mm,
agree? Would you agree, diba? So, like for example, parang you have GERD. Are you
mm,
familiar? It's reflux. You have
yeah.
reflux disease. So when you kind of probe into, like, probe the patient, you'll find out that there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of worry, no,
Yeah.
and yeah. So when the stomach meridian is affected, so if it's in acupuncture, we talk about meridians, how
Mm,
the energy, how the chi flows through the meridians, and the meridians are actually classified into our major organ systems. So
interesting.
yeah, so for example, we're talking about the stomach meridian.
Mhm.
So and then the patient comes in nga for reflux. And then you find out that she has a lot of anxiety, she has a lot of worries. So
Mm,
the in particular now we're talking about the stomach meridian and how it's actually connected to this particular emotion.
mm,
The meridians are actually connected with certain emotions, no?
yeah.
So
So
yun.
it's interesting. Like you're talking about meridians in terms of acupuncture. Could you explain like what they are? Because in my head, parang they in my head they're kind of like the chakras of the body, like
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
is that more or less it, or are they more like just a lot of like other connections? Because for me, chakras is just kind of the main ones kind of go down, but
Yeah.
then there are also ones that spread around, right? So could
Mm-hmm.
you
So
explain
yeah,
that a little
when you talk about chakras, they're basically centers of energy,
bit? Mhm.
energy centers. So basically, meridians are, it's like a system of highways.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's where the chi flows. It's where the energy flows. So any traffic or like a congestion in those pathways will
Mhm.
cause certain symptoms,
Yeah.
certain physical manifestations, and even emotional manifestations. So
Yeah.
that's basically what meridians are. No, so and the acupoints, no, we will put actually they're actually put along the meridians.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And so doc, parang it's I'm trying to kind of figure out no like how
Mm-hmm.
you guys like kind of figure out like where or like which meridians to focus on, etc. So for when a patient comes in for, let's say, a holistic medical consult with you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like for people that that haven't been to one, it is not the consult that you expect. It is very different from a
Mm-hmm.
regular consult. You guys have to
Mm-hmm.
fill out this long form. It talks about stuff from that relate, for example, your quality of sleep, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like how stressful your life is, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Parang it's not the usual questions that you would expect. And once you kind of get into the consult, it's also not the usual questions that you would kind of expect from your regular doctor. Um, and then Doc Fran, that's where you guys kind of get into
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
so like what's happening? For example,
Mm-hmm.
if you have GERD, you kind of you guys start asking questions about that.
Yeah.
When did you figure out that, oh, this is something that acupuncture could help with?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, you come in for a consult, and most of the time, patients will actually consult for something that's physically bothering them.
Mm,
So as I mentioned earlier, that's why the consults take long,
yeah.
because you start with the physical, but
Mhm.
then you kind of get deeper into it. So until you most of the time, like I would say 90% of the time, there's actually an emotional connection talaga.
Yeah.
So yeah, so okay, so we started with a stomach meridian, ba?
Mhm.
So let's talk about maybe let's choose another meridian, the liver meridian. So
Mm,
in acupuncture, the liver is actually related with anger,
yeah.
okay, with feelings of frustration, with feelings of anger. If you think about it, about when we use the term livid, diba,
Mm,
what does livid mean? It actually means furiously angry.
yeah.
Diba? And if you look at the root word of the word livid, it actually comes from the Latin livere,
Mhm.
which is actually basically liver.
Mm.
Diba?
That is
So
so interesting.
yeah. So we talked about the stomach. We talked about the liver. So when people, like for example, they come in for parang hypertension, and then there it's the parang the patient is the type na so many things frustrate me. I'm always angered easily and all that. You get to talk about his or her stresses in life, like
Mhm.
just the whole world, or just someone who's angry at the world, something
Yeah.
like that, no? So when you do acupuncture and you choose acupuncture points, you would actually choose points along the liver meridian. I
Ah.
mean, not you won't only use those points, you'll combine it with other points, but basically, it's one of the guides. It's one of the
Mhm.
guides, yeah. Yeah.
So doc, for a patient who
Sorry,
does
didn't answer your question.
no,
I might be,
Yeah, no,
I'm
I think you answered it, naman.
mm,
It's interesting for me, kind of going through that process with
mhm,
you of,
mhm,
yeah, like they go through the consult, they, let's say, like they point out the issues that they
mhm,
have physically,
mhm.
and you can already kind of see the emotions that they're probably also struggling with, just with this physical, the
Mhm,
physical complaints.
mhm,
So let's say,
mhm.
like, if they say, oh, like I suffer from like constant UTI, I don't know what's happening to me.
Oo.
So you'd probably go, okay, that's a kidney issue, so
Okay,
probably these
that's
are
a
the
good
emotions.
segue. Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you for the segue. Sige, let's talk about the kidneys naman ngayon,
yeah.
diba? It's very interesting. So, that's why I'm excited to share with you guys because syempre, diba, we came from the medical Western medicine. So
Mm,
when we got into studying Eastern medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, it parang some of the Western concepts or parang some of the what do you call this, like expressions. Sige, wait. Before the liver, balik muna ako dun sa, di ba we have this expression na, oh, when you're anxious and when you worry a lot, you have butterflies in your stomach. Di
mm,
ba? We have that famous expression. And I only got to fully understand that when I studied traditional Chinese medicine because yan nga, the stomach meridian pala, your core, is actually related to the emotion of anxiety and worry. So it gives a like a parang whole new meaning to the phrase
mm,
butterflies in your stomach kasi that's it, 'di ba? Parang when you feel anxious or when you feel worried,
mm.
you feel it here, 'di ba? Na parang
Yeah.
in Tagalog yung expression na sinasabi na parang bumabaliktad yung tiyan mo, 'di ba?
Uh-uh.
When you're
Yeah.
worried about something or when you're anxious about something, ganyan. So, it's very interesting kasi it became more holistic for me. And I'm sure for the other practitioners of Centro. Um,
Mm.
na we understood more
Yeah.
how the physical is really connected with the mental, with the emotional, how health is really, it's really not, you can't really compartmentalize it,
Yes. It's
right?
it's not it's not just a physical manifestation. Like,
Yeah,
it came
yeah,
from, parang my understanding of it is, parang the physical manifestation is almost like the last manifestation.
it's the most superficial, if
Mm.
if we can
Yeah.
use the term, diba? It's always most of the time something
Yeah.
deeper talaga. So
Mm.
okay, so balik tayo ang layo ka na. Okay, yung
Kidney.
kidneys, diba? So you're talking about if you have recurrent UTI, if you have kidney problems, yan. The kidneys, the emotional counterpart is actually fear. Okay,
Mm.
so just parang trivia lang, 'di ba, when you experience extreme fear, 'di ba?
Mm.
What's the most of the time the physical manifestation? Parang what comes to your mind when there's like a super parang scary moment or like a fight or flight moment? 'Di
I
ba
guess,
you
naiihi,
kind of
like,
lose bladder control. Right, diba? So yeah, I mean that's how it is. That's how it connects. It's your kidneys, it's your bladder. When you
interesting.
experience, diba, that kind of fear, diba?
Mm.
So yun naman yung ano with the kidneys, the emotional connection with the
Yeah.
kidneys. So
That's
we've
so cool.
covered we've covered three, I think. We've covered
Yeah.
three now. The liver, the stomach, the
Mm.
kidneys.
It's
And
cool.
then
Dr. Sasa says classic shoulder pain, then digging in deeper, we may find insomnia that can be related to gallbladder problems.
mm,
How does insomnia connect to gallbladder problems?
Doc Sasa, maybe you can answer that for us.
Shoulder pain, and
No,
then it
okay.
leads to insomnia, and then
Okay.
gallbladder problems.
Let's see if I can answer that question. Pero sige,
Okay.
I have that story about shoulder pain.
Mm-hmm.
So in med school, Western medicine,
Mm.
we were taught that there's this such a thing called referred pain. No? So referred pain is you experience pain in a certain part of your body, but actually the root cause of that pain you would think is totally unrelated, like it's in another part of your body. So when we were taught in med school, when you have stones in your gallbladder,
Yeah.
there's actually a referred pain to the shoulders. So one of the things that you would actually ask, when a patient comes into you for a shoulder pain that doesn't go away, like it doesn't go away with any pain meds, it doesn't go away with any kind of massage, you would actually request for an ultrasound. You can request for an ultrasound to see, and sometimes you would incidentally find gallstones. So in med school, we were taught na, okay, so that's it. That's what you call referred pain. And, in your head, it's like, oh, like, how is that connected? How does that happen? Diba?
Yeah.
But then our professors and would just say na, basta it's like that. No, it's referred pain, so that's it. That's what the book says. So let's just kind of accept it for what it is, right? So okay. So so we go about life, we go about seeing patients na okay, referred pain, gallstones, ganyan. When we study traditional Chinese medicine, the gallbladder meridian, which is actually connected with the liver, with the liver meridian also, they're kind of the partners. The gallbladder meridian runs from somewhere in the head all the way to the pinky toe, the small toe, and it traverses your shoulders. It actually literally runs somewhere here, all the way down to the side, which is what Western medicine actually taught us to be the referred pain. The location of the referred pain when you have gallstones. But in traditional Chinese medicine, that's actually the gallbladder meridian. So
so random for me, but that makes sense. Like if there is something that's connected to an organ running through that one side. Is it one side of the body or both sides of the body?
Both. Yeah. So it's like a mirror image, left and right. So cool. It's so cool. It's actually so interesting to learn about acupuncture. That's why I'm also super excited for this talk.
Yeah, like there's so many layers pala to acu. Doc Sasa says actually with the insomnia, it's also not sleeping during the time when the gallbladder is most active, because each meridian has its own clock where each organ is most functional.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The clock can actually be for another day. We can talk about that. Yeah. And maybe Doc Sasa can talk about that. But yeah, the body actually follows, like, I think it's divided into 2 to 3 hours per, and parang there's like those certain times will be connected with a meridian or an organ system na yan nga, the function of that organ system is most active during that particular time.
Galing.
That can be for it's a whole other topic.
Yeah, it's a whole other topic, but I
need to review. Yeah, I need to review that clock. Doc Sasa, maybe you can talk about it next time. Yeah.
It's so interesting to know. So we've kind of gone through 3 organs. Okay. And for mga mas common, a lot of people come in, they might come in then with like heart problems, like palpitations,
the heart,
etc. So when you hear people na yun yung pinaka-issue nila, what is the underlying emotion there with regard to acupuncture?
Okay. It's actually, the heart is a little bit tricky. Kasi the emotion, parang you wouldn't think na, so what's so bad about that? Because the emotion that's actually connected with the heart is actually happiness. Or it's actually joy. No?
Yeah.
So you would think, okay, how can that cause me stress? Or how, it's like a very positive emotion, diba? So how is that negative at all? But then we have this expression also, diba, na too much of anything naman, diba? Too much of anything is not a good thing. So there also is such a thing as too much happiness, I guess. Or maybe it's more like when you're really happy, doing something, or like, for example, when you're into, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like if you're into sports and you're very passionate about a certain sport, and sometimes you kind of tend to overdo it.
Yeah.
Maybe you tend to overtrain, you tend to overindulge. Like parang that's all you ever think about or something like that. So it's more of like overdoing it. So the heart, no, naturally, because it's the organ that actually supplies the body with blood. It it's literally the pumping
Yeah.
or pumping station, diba? It can get overworked. Diba? It can actually get overworked. So that's how you can kind of see the connection on when you're like super happy or overindulgent,
Yeah.
with a particular thing. Your
Mm-mm.
heart can also be stressed because you're
Parang it's
overworking it.
overwork. Yeah.
Yeah, you're overworking it. So that's just one example off the top of my head. But yeah, so the heart naman is connected with that emotion.
So I think it's also parang like the stress in general. Like when you're
Mhm.
physically stressing out your body,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
manifests also as stress in the heart
yeah, yeah,
almost.
yeah, yeah. So it can be. So yun nga. So if we're going to connect it emotionally, diba?
Mm.
Happiness or joy can also be kind of related to excitement.
Mm.
Diba? When you're just like super excited about whatever, diba? Na
Yeah.
sometimes you would hear stories about people like having a heart attack in the middle of like maybe a party, or
Mm.
sometimes even in the middle of a sports event,
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, the some of the examples that parang would give you a clue na you have to take care of your heart also in that way. You can't, or yun nga, basically acupuncture is keeping it balanced,
Yeah.
diba? So you have to keep it, you can't be too over, hindi ka na rin naman na pwedeng super deficient, diba?
Yeah.
It has to be, you have to be in a balance.
Yeah. That's so interesting. What
Yeah.
about people who, I guess, like with COVID, the most common symptom ngayon is people who may come in with, like, let's say, like lung problems, like
Okay. Oh, yun pala yung
pneumonia,
last natin. Yeah,
etc.
yeah. Okay.
Um, so sige, so if that is something that your patients would complain about, what is the
Okay.
emotion
Yeah,
connected
that's
to that?
connected naman with the lungs, diba? So, okay, the lungs is actually connected with sadness
Okay.
or grief. So these are the two major emotions that the lung meridian um, is functionally related to. Okay,
Mm.
so you know how, well, it's interesting. You know how when you feel sad or when you feel grief,
Mm-hmm.
what's the natural reaction? You cry, no? And
Yeah.
sometimes when it's so overwhelming, it's literally parang you can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? Yung extreme emotion na when you're crying and you just parang you can't contain it, you can't breathe, it's tight. No,
Yeah.
you feel the tightness here in the chest. So galing, diba? So
Yeah.
yeah, so sadness and grief will actually affect the function of your lungs.
Mm.
And COVID is just like a super sad thing.
Yeah.
Diba? Diba? Okay, so like, if you want to talk about COVID and ano. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, so yun nga. That's basically how the lungs relate to sadness and grief.
Mm. I love that, and it also makes me a little bit paranoid. Like whenever I see you guys now, and I'm like, oh, like I'm having like breathing problems or whatever. Now I know you guys are like automatically okay. What are you
What's
breathing?
going on? Yeah, what's going up? What are you going through? So now, actually, parang the secret's out, diba? Kasi some people or patients, they would say na, ang galing, parang when they get to talk to us, na parang doc, your
How
mind
do you
readers are how do you know, diba? Like through the interview na we start asking these questions, and they're just so parang mind blown, diba?
Yeah.
Na parang, why are you asking? Or like, how did you know that parang there's something connected with that? Or, this particular. So now the secret's out. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
Yeah.
fellow centro doctors.
Magsasas like akala nila psychic.
Oo, diba? Parang, akala nyo, may magic kami or something. Pero, yun nga, I mean, when you really study, like when you get into traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture in particular, these are the things that you will find out, that we're just really holistic beings. You can't
Yeah.
really compartmentalize it talaga na okay na there's something wrong with a particular organ system, so this is the only thing that we're gonna focus on, diba? Forget about the other systems. It's really not that way.
Yeah, it's not just the other organ systems, but also just how really interconnected everything is. Like you can't just say that, I'm having heart problems, for example. It's so annoying, I'm having these heart problems, and you go to the doctor, you get your medication, and you parang okay na siya. That's problem solved. When it's really not, looking at it from a TCM point of view, there really is so much work that needs to get done in order to really heal the person. It's not just getting rid of the physical ailment.
No, that's actually really just really the first step.
Mm.
Or,
It sounds like that's the easiest one to fix at that rate.
Exactly. So, yun nga, I think some of our other doctors who've been on your show, we've kind of touched on, it's
I'm just your hosting.
yan, this chikahan portion.
Yeah.
What do you call this? What was I going to say? So I've heard them mention also, no, na that's why we in Centro, we are kind of confident when we say about saying some physical ailments, they can actually be reversible talaga. Like in Western medicine, we were taught no, once you have a certain condition, you have to be on maintenance forever. It's only about controlling the symptoms. You can never really get rid of the disease.
Yeah.
No, but when you get into this practice, you will find out talaga na you can actually reverse some of, not all, no, not all. We're not claiming all of it. Pero yeah, I mean a lot of it, a lot of the lifestyle diseases talaga. I mean, if it's something genetic na you were born with, syempre,
That's a bit harder, yeah.
Yeah. So we're not talking about those things. But, we're talking about mostly the lifestyle, and a lot of people, or majority, I would say, no, it's really lifestyle conditions. It's really lifestyle disease. And talking about functional, we've talked a lot about functional medicine, no? So that's what functional medicine actually is. It's trying to get to the root cause. Actually, TCM, acupuncture. Kasi when you're able to address that, the others will follow
Yeah.
to the up to the physical level. So diba, we'll do acupuncture for anxiety and yan nga. For example, if you're suffering from a lot of anxiety and you're the type na you're just 100% of the time worried about what will happen next, or parang how this will turn out or how that will turn out, things will turn out, ganyan. You address that with acupuncture, and the physical manifestations that come with it, like for example nga, the GERD, diba?
Yeah.
Like you always have acids coming up from your stomach to your esophagus. It just really goes away. It really goes. I mean, most of the time. Diba? So
It's interesting because you sort out the emotional symptoms and then the physical symptoms, or the emotional root of whatever it is, and then the physical symptoms kind of sort itself out naturally.
Yeah, diba? So actually, like just now thinking about it, it's like, sige, the tree. Diba?
Mhm.
There are roots, diba? Under the soil. And then what you see above soil is yung physical tree,
Yeah.
diba? The condition of the tree. So yeah, for example, it's parang drying up, or wilting or whatever. You
Mhm.
water the soil, you take care of the roots, diba? You nourish the roots, then you just see the physical, yung manifestation na the leaves are greener, diba? The
Right.
branches look healthier, ganyan, diba? So it's really, nature, parang what I want to say also is our bodies are actually like a microcosm of nature.
Yeah.
We're like a microcosm of like the universe actually.
For sure. Like there's a saying online that like we're like go out, get sun, drink your
Mhm.
water. We're
Mhm.
basically plants with like more complicated emotions at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So
and yeah, that really sounds to be true. And even in my journey as a patient at
mhm,
Central,
mhm,
I love just how another thing that you guys are so good at is
mhm,
educating your
mhm,
patients about
mhm.
why this physical manifestation is happening
Definitely.
and how you can heal it on all levels, which is why we
Yes,
have all these extra services.
yes.
I think a lot of people make the mistake of coming into Central because, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling
Mhm,
that,
mhm,
this is my symptom. Can you help
mhm.
me with this?
Yeah,
And then, same as me. But then they walk out of Centro with just a better understanding of what's happening with their
yeah,
bodies and
yes.
also a better understanding of the emotions that they haven't been able to manage.
Address. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and for me, like that is I think one of the things that makes Central so unique.
Mhm,
When people don't really understand when we say holistic,
mhm.
usually when we say holistic, we think, okay, so it's like all natural. They don't
Or
use.
people like using the term alternative, no?
Yes.
Alternative. So let me just talk about that for 2 minutes, no?
Sige.
So what we want to basically put out there also is that we're actually more integrative. That's why it's called Centro Holistico Integrative Health and Wellness, diba?
Mm,
uh Not so much alternative kasi you can actually combine, and that's what actually most of the time what we do, what
yeah.
we learned in Western medicine and what we learned in traditional Chinese medicine, functional medicine as well. We combine all of those practices, so it's not really na okay, I want like, we go to Centro because it's an alternative form of medicine na. So it's not necessarily, it's either you go to a Western doctor or Centro because we're alternative.
Yeah.
Like we co-manage. We actually co-manage with our doctor friends, no, who
Yeah.
are specialists as well. Well, those, at least those who are kind of open to this kind of
Mhm.
practice, no.
Yeah.
So it's basically combining all the practices, no. So we kind of try to stay away from using alternative, the
Yeah.
term alternative medicine. Because it can be, just like an integration with all other kinds of medical practices.
Exactly. And I think what I think living in this 21st century na is that we are a lot more open na to having integrative practices. Like
Yeah.
you see, there are Reiki practitioners and
Mhm.
operating rooms now, and
Mhm.
Reiki is a
Yeah,
service.
yeah, oh, exciting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Like there are yoga therapists at St. Luke's.
Yeah,
Um, they have an entire wing dedicated to
like a
just
wellness.
to,
Yeah,
to,
like a
to yeah
wellness.
exactly. So,
Mhm.
it isn't that far fetched. And
Mhm.
I think another thing, like, if you haven't been to Centro at all,
Mhm.
my personal recommendation is go there while you're healthy so they can work on your wellness.
Prevent, yeah, preventive, more preventive medicine, diba?
Exactly. Like, wag na kayo pumunta kung kailan, well, pumunta kayo pag may sakit na kayo, of
Yeah,
course. But
yeah,
as much as possible, come in healthy because the doctors would work a lot better with you guys, you know,
yeah.
to to help you guys stay healthy
Yeah.
for longer.
More
Okay,
to
you
improve also the quality of life, diba?
exactly. Like I didn't know how much my quality of life needed improvement until I started working with you guys, and I was like, this is a whole new, this is a whole
Yeah.
new world for me.
Even for us, and I'm sure my fellow central doctors will agree, there was a lot of self-discovery when we started getting into traditional Chinese medicine, functional
Mm,
medicine, diba? There was a lot of learning and unlearning
for
also,
sure.
diba? Na from what we learned in Western medicine.
Mm,
Not to say, I don't get me wrong. We value what we learned in Western medicine, and
yeah,
we're able to use that also to make our patients feel better. Pero one thing that we realized is, you know, there's just really a whole, like, there are other things that you can really incorporate into your practice. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be limited to what we learned in Western
absolutely.
traditional medicine, diba?
Mm,
And it makes it so much more patient centric.
yeah,
Meaning, it's really all about the patient, whatever the patient needs to help them heal, to make them feel better, but
yeah,
not just prescribing them medications or certain drugs, but really working with them so that parang they're able to feel also that it's mostly up to them also to start that journey of healing, no?
mm,
So yeah, parang it's one of the things that we teach the patients in Centro is
mm,
this is actually a partnership. It's it's not the doctor that heals you.
yeah.
We're actually just parang your guides or
We
teachers.
have to put in the work,
Help
basically.
you, we help you, but
Yeah.
individually, our healing will actually mostly come from within.
Yeah.
Oo.
It really is the patient doing the work
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I think a misconception that people might have about going
Mm-hmm.
to Centro is, oh, I go
Mm-hmm.
there, they're going to prescribe me something, and then I will be fine. Because that's kind of what we're used to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Instead
that's how
of,
we were trained.
yeah, exactly. Instead of looking at it as this is a health journey,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in terms of the wellness continuum, you were at a certain point
Yes.
there,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
and it's you and your doctor's job to kind of help
Mm-hmm.
journey towards better health and wellness. And I think that's a concept that not a lot of people get kasi we only go to the doctor pag may nararamdaman tayong sakit, 'di ba? We don't really
Yeah.
go to the doctor pag okay tayo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that's
it's really
that
mostly physical talaga. It's really mostly physical, diba? Mm-mm.
and then when you go to Centro, you realize, oh, there are layers. There is so much more to what I'm going through than just this
Yes.
one.
And
Okay.
most of the time, the physical manifestation is actually a sign
Yeah.
that, parang you've been maybe harboring something else, no?
Yeah.
Something else for like a long time.
Yeah.
And parang it's just manifesting now physically.
Correct. Nagkaugat na yung emotions mo kumbaga, and it's like it's
Oh,
reaching into like your physical ano.
yeah. Like telling you something. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, like, well, Eugene asked the question, but it's perfect because this is where we're headed. Can you please discuss how the needles help in treating or balancing the meridians? So yeah, so after the consult,
Yeah.
after our holistic medical consultation, you guys would usually come up with a treatment plan for
Mm-hmm.
our patients and like treatment protocols.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, yeah, it would include acupuncture. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
could you explain how, like, for me it just looks like you turn us into a human piñata for the most part, and then you have to stay there for 30 minutes until you guys take it out.
Yeah.
What does it do?
Okay. Sige, so let's go back to the basics of acupuncture. So
Mhm.
when we talk about acupuncture, you're actually talking about basically two things, okay? We work with chi and we work with blood. Okay, so this might be parang more difficult to comprehend for like those that didn't study traditional Chinese medicine, but I'll try to make it simpler.
Mhm.
So blood and qi, they're basically the yin and yang, no? Yin and yang of acupuncture. So blood is actually what nourishes, no? What nourishes our body. Actually, parang the food or whatever we take in is actually converted into blood, no? And the blood is what flows around our body to nourish, no? The qi is actually when you read in TCM, you will see that they actually define it as the life force. No, so basically it's blood and chi that we're balancing when we talk about acupuncture. So okay, where am I going with this? So yun nga, when we put the needles, we put it on the meridians. So we talked about the meridians na kanina, which is a system of highways where the chi actually flows. Diba? Where the blood flows is inside our blood vessels. Diba? If you can imagine. So there's a system of blood vessels. There's also a system of meridians inside our body, and they run basically parallel. No? They run basically parallel to each other. So when we put the points, when we choose points for acupuncture, we're actually stimulating the meridians to help with a better flow of chi. Something like that. Yeah, basically that.
Interesting. And I never thought of blood as being part of the TCM, the acupuncture narrative for some weird reason. I've always thought about, yeah, like meridians, energy, chi flowing. Oh,
Flowing,
wow,
yeah.
no, like you need blood to kind of get that energy
Yeah,
where it
it's the
needs to go.
carrier. Yeah, it's actually the carrier. It's literally what carries the nutrients, no? The nutrients that we get from food. Um, it's basically the metabolic processes. Our metabolism. Metabolism is actually yan nga. It's the conversion of that physical energy, which is food,
Yeah.
to your blood.
Ang galing.
So simple, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So doc, like so when for example you're focusing on, well, a person has anger issues, so
mhm,
you want to focus it on the liver, for
mhm.
example.
Okay.
What do you what can a patient kind of expect to happen? Like, are there going to be like huge changes in their mood, or does it take certain like amount of sessions
Yeah.
before they can kind of release whatever kind of like
Mm,
stuck
mm.
anger issues
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have?
Okay.
Or is it a combination of acupuncture and,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to assume like anger management in
Mm-hmm.
order to help like, like help
Yeah.
the
Deal with
liver,
the patient.
whatever
Yeah.
issues it's going through. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, sige. I have anecdotes, diba? There are lots of so people come in, and then we have stories from our nurses na they say na, "Doc, si particular patient na ganito, nung pumasok siya when she or he first consulted, yan nga, parang sobrang masungit, or
Mhm.
parang daming galit sa mundo, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Pero ang galing talaga ng acupuncture kasi nakakabait siya talaga, ganyan, na parang after this, sometimes after one session, sometimes it may take a bit more. Actually, that depends on how chronic or how bad the
Mm.
situation is now with a particular patient. So, some patients kasi come in with, like for example, hindi pa naman, she hasn't suffered from that condition for a long time. So, it's easier to treat, no, with just a number of sessions. But sometimes the patients would be like yun nga, parang angry since birth.
Mm.
So those are the patients na you have to kind of be with them longer, treat them longer, more meaning more sessions, no? So it really depends on how chronic the condition is. Yeah. So, but basically, that's how it changes the person, diba? It really improves your mood. Yan nga, it improves your bas- basically your outlook, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the stories na yun nga, yung mga staff natin, yung mga nurses natin, parang, Doc, ang galing talaga, no? Kasi ganyan-ganyan. Yung kwento about certain patients, di ba, na, and yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty amazing. Pretty
Well,
amazing. How
it's not, yeah, and it's not just, it's not that you come in, you get acupuncture, and then you totally get a different personality when
yeah,
you walk
no,
out. Just that, like, I think the acupuncture helps either like calm
release. It
you.
helps, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps calm, it helps release certain energies that you don't need,
Uh-uh.
excess energies that you don't need, or if you come in deficient, meaning, diba, we always talk about low energy, like you feel so
Mm.
lethargic, or parang, Doc, my energy levels are so low. You're
Yeah.
actually talking about the flow of your chi. You don't realize it, but you're
Yeah.
actually talking about, you might as well say, Doc, my the flow of my chi is not, diba? Parang you might as
Yeah.
well be saying that, diba? But when you talk about, Doc, parang there's so much excess energy, or parang, diba, there can be that extreme.
Uh-uh.
It's
Imbalance
either
naman.
you're,
May
it's
ADHD.
either you're too low, or parang you have so much energy na, diba? And
Yeah.
sometimes this will manifest as, you can be manic, diba?
Yeah.
If we talk about mental health, no, when you suffer from mania, it's actually an excess of something that you kind of
Yeah.
need to tone down,
Mm.
no, to release something. So those are the things na acupuncture helps a lot with. So for mental and emotional stress, it's actually one of the treatments that we highly recommend. So acupuncture is really not only for physical ailments, no, but it works excellent talaga with mental and emotional stress.
Doc Sasa says, kayo mababait mga tao sa clinic. You know what, actually, I've hung out at the clinic a while, and you know who the new patients are? Kasi sila minsan yung medyo aggro, like aggressive, or medyo like demanding, like, like I'd feel kind of bad for the nurses kasi they have to answer a barrage of questions.
Yeah.
And then I go in for acu, and then they come back out and they're like calm and happy and complete personality change.
Yeah. So, yun nga, you have to experience it for yourself to actually know what we're talking about, no? So, yun.
So question, like we have in acupuncture, we have this. So we have your body acupuncture,
Mm-hmm.
we have our facial acupuncture,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also do acu detox, which for me I think is fantastic in also helping with stress and like releasing emotions. But it's so weird for me because you guys only do it sa tenga, like that's just the points in the ear. Could you explain that just a little bit? I've always found it so fascinating and just so weird at the same time. Na parang of all the places sa katawan natin, but dun pa.
Okay. So the ears, no. What? Sayang. I have I have an ear na ganito kalaki. There's actually one. It's like your whole body inverted. If you can imagine like a baby in a fetal position, no, where, sorry, nalilito ako sa camera. The head is actually the lobe part, and then fetal position where the legs are actually here. No, so if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
So there are actually maybe 100 points, or maybe a little less.
Yeah.
Not sure about the figure, pero there are that many points on the ears that can actually address any kind of ailment in any part of your body. So you can actually just be practicing acupuncture and be using ear acupuncture in your practice, and you're okay with that. You can address
so cool.
You can stress, any physical ailment, no. But particularly in Centro, when we do detox acupuncture, we're actually more focused on. We actually use ear acupuncture to manage certain addictions.
Yeah.
So yeah, so more of parang controlling, for example, smoking. Like if you want to quit smoking, so that's where we focus on, no?
Are there
Or
any emotions that are connected to like specifically the ear area? Because yeah, like I've had friends who would come in for, yeah, they want to quit smoking, they want to quit drinking, but also like insomnia.
mm,
Um, and some also like they come in for stress, like when they're having a really stressful day.
mhm.
Um, they would come in and just get the acu detox, and they say that it helps them
It really helps a
so
lot.
much. And
Yeah.
hindi ko siya magets.
Mhm. Okay. So, AcuDetox in particular, what we do in Centro, so we use it actually more for the, siguro let's say, the more chronic conditions of addiction. Yung medyo serious na, no? So, for example, yun nga, if you wanna quit smoking, which is a hard habit to kick, diba?
Yeah.
If you've been doing it for a long time, or if you want to quit drinking, which is also a very hard habit to kick if you've been
Will it help if you want to quit sugar?
food addictions. Actually, siguro baka yan pa nga yung hardest, diba? To
Hardest,
quit,
yeah.
diba?
Mm.
So, and then also for insomnia, because you mentioned insomnia, there are different levels of insomnia rin eh. Diba? There's the acute one, which you, for example, you've only been experiencing it for a couple of weeks. So that's
Hmm.
pretty easy to treat. And we would normally not use the detox protocol for that. So it's important to know how chronic the condition has been.
Mm.
So more of we use the ear detox if we feel na parang it's the condition is affecting your whole, basically your whole being na.
Mm.
Diba? So for example, let's say, because the points that we use are actually, we use 5 points, no? We use
Yeah.
5 points, and these are the major organ systems that para, yeah. So what we talked about, you have your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, your, what am I missing here? Your lungs and your heart.
Mm.
Oh. So yun yung ano, those are the five points that we use, no? So it's basically targeting your major organ systems. If we feel na the condition is something that's serious enough that it's actually affecting your whole being.
Interesting. And then sometimes you guys like to like dig around there just a little bit more. Like I would see you guys parang you'd like check a point, and then you would like parang di ko alam kung dinidiin nyo or iniikot nyo yung needle.
Yeah,
What is
there's a little twist. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little twist. No, only because I think it's more of, kasi it's really shallow. Like you can't really what you penetrate too deep kasi you're gonna go through cartilage. You're gonna go through and through, diba? So you kind of just give it a little twist so that it stays on.
Got it.
It doesn't fall.
Got it.
Parang a little twist.
Okay, Eugene Lin has another interesting question. He says, is there an age requirement or an age limit for those who want to try acupuncture?
The youngest patient that I've actually had is, I think, my niece. She was about 5 years old when she first got acupuncture from me.
Wow.
So so the minimum age would be as long as the child can stay still, as long as the child can follow instructions. And then as for the limit, like the ceiling, no, not really, as long as the patient is able to come to the clinic or, yan nga.
Yeah, I think the wonderful thing about acupuncture and this practice is, it's very holistic. There are no medications involved. It's basically the doctor's triggering the body to help itself heal.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense as long as the child can stay put for around 20-30 minutes, which is what you guys kind of require.
For children, actually, mga 10 minutes, they're okay na. Yeah. So yeah, depends on how young the child is. So
I guess like smaller bodies, so smaller enough for your chi and blood to like.
Not really. Kasi like for kids, you can say na it can be just really physical, diba? Kasi when we're kids, wala naman tayo yung mga emotional stress na ganyan, diba?
Correct. Oo nga.
So for kids, it's usually talaga just physical. Like if you're treating a cold or if you're treating some kind of an allergy or ganyan, diba? So it really depends.
Yeah. So, Doc Sasa says psychiatric problems can also be addressed, especially for those trying to wean from medications. Yeah, Doc Fran, you guys have had like I've had a friend that came in, and she was bipolar and she was on a lot of meds. And yeah, I forgot the doctor that she saw, but she said that it really kind of helped her.
Yeah.
So she would come in for acu, and then slowly she was able to lessen
the medication,
get rid of because she still needs it, but significantly lessen because her moods also she was able to kind of manage and stabilize because of acupuncture. Ang galing.
Yeah. So going back to ear acupuncture, yung detox that Doc Sasa is mentioning. So those are some of the things that we use it for. Some of the conditions that we use it more for. So when patients come in for more of the mental and emotional, so bipolar or depression or a generalized anxiety disorder. Sometimes even more serious than that na meron ng schizotypal, tendencies. It still helps talaga especially ear acupuncture. That's why I said we use it for the more siguro chronic or serious ones. Kasi it basically with 5 points, with minimal. Kasi some of these patients, parang when you put needles on their bodies, they get, some of them would get agitated, diba? They're not comfortable with that whole idea of getting stuck with needles. So what's nice with ear acupuncture, it's there you can move like your other body parts while you're in session.
Yeah.
But you're basically able to address the major organ systems. Diba?
Yeah, so, and it is there like is what from what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like parang acu-detox is kind of like a lot more potent than, let's say, the body acupuncture. Is that the case, or is it just a whole other parang different area compared to body acupuncture?
Yeah. No, hindi naman na it's more potent or it's more effective, if that's what you're asking. It's more of so for particular conditions, it's the protocol. It's like a certain protocol that we use for particular diagnoses or particular conditions. And more, so as I already discussed, more for the addictions, for mental health conditions, so that's what we use it for. If we feel na it's something na parang
needed,
more chronic and it's been there for a long time and the patient is having a hard time, getting over it or healing from it. So it's
Galing. So Doctor, we're almost at the top of the hour pala. I did not notice. I've been so much.
Ang sarap pa to discuss more, no? But
like I never realized just how complex acupuncture is, and I hope the people that are watching kind of come to the same conclusion as well. So, Doc Fran, before I let you go, where can people find you if they want to do an acupuncture session with you?
So well, for now lang, my practice is kind of limited because of my baby, but I'm there 2 times a week. So I do Fridays and Saturdays. I'm in Centro Alabang Friday, and Saturday I'm in Centro The Grove, Pasig. Yeah.
And then for any other,
we have 3 branches. We have another one in Quezon City, but I don't do Quezon City for now, just
Yeah.
because it's kind of too far from
Yeah,
our place of residence. Yeah, but
for sure. And of course, like you stay in then as much as possible, to keep everybody safe. But you still do teleconsultations as well,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
just in
So
case.
yeah, pero yan nga, since syempre acupuncture is one of those things that you really can't
You need to
teleconsult,
talk
diba? So
in.
you need to go physically to the clinic. So yeah, but I do teleconsults, like for just if you want to discuss something, yeah, just call the clinics and they'll set it up. They'll set it up for you.
Yes. So yeah, so that's it for this morning. Thank you so much, Doc Fran,
Thank
for this
you, Abby.
super informative.
Yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you guys learned something today.
I learned so much. I hope that you guys did as well.
Yeah.
It's just amazing learning and just appreciating a lot of the services that
Mhm.
come in that's offered at the clinic. Eugene says thank you. Informative session as always. Thank
Yeah.
you,
Thank
Eugene.
you, Jean. Thank you.
We will see you guys again next Sunday. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye
Have a good
guys.
weekend. Bye.